Okay. So the idea of today is that we would touch a lot of points in the application, but then also create an workable application in just few within an hour or so, right? So that's the goal. So that's why I don't want to waste much time explaining things, but I will also try to touch what I'll be using. Okay, so the idea is to have a gallery control, which would show the list of contacts, and then we would change the gallery control to look like a grid, as a grid, like a subgrid or a form, CRM. Give it look and feel of a CRM, and then once you click any of those items, then we would show a second screen, and then that second screen would show a CRM kind of form, editable form. Okay, quick and easy. Let's see how much we can accomplish. Okay, so first thing is we would insert a gallery. And today, for some reason, my internet is slow. Okay, so now we added the gallery. Let's expand it. Okay, and then we don't want Vikram joined. Hey, Vikram.
Hi. Hey, hi.
We just started. Okay, so
Oh,
you haven't
okay.
lost anything, and we are recording the session as well.
Okay. Thank you.
So yeah, so I'm gonna take titles only for now, so that this layout changes to just titles, and then we don't want the title to be that big, so we're gonna make it 11.
How did you selected the title?
Yeah, so you go to gallery, and then once you go to the gallery, you have a few layouts available for you. So you have title, title,
Okay.
subtitle. You can change whatever you want, but basically this is just a starting point, right? So you selected
Mhm.
title. Now it changes the template to just only have titles in it, right? But then you can add components in it as you want. So you can change the title to, you can change the height and width, you can change the font from here, right? So you can change a lot of properties of those particular titles. So you can actually click over here to select it. Sometimes it's hard to select it from here. So you can even click here and then change the properties. Now, once you
Okay.
have changed the properties, right? So let me drag it a little up here. And then there's a nice property that I really like and I really use is auto height. So this, sometimes you are not able to actually come up with the height. It's very hard. So let's say I was not able to come up with the height because of some issues. I just say auto height on, and then there you go. And then I don't have to worry. But if I try to change the height and width, sometimes the auto height gets switched off. So if you change the height, then the auto height will switch off. So you can again switch it back on. Then there's something called this template size in the gallery. So if you click on the gallery, this is a template size. So this template size is nothing but the size of this uh, template. So this is called a template, this entire thing. That's the size of your template. So this template size is 96 as the minimum. And then it says gallery height minus 60. That's how the template size is determined. Okay, so we can change this to whatever we want. So we can say, okay, it should be, so what this minimum 96 or gallery height minus 60 means. So there are min max functions as well. Then you have min max functions or true false functions or a lot of other functions available, like you have it in Excel spreadsheet. This means that you are doing contextual aligning. So for example, let's say if you're working on an HTML page and you want to make it responsive. So how would you make that responsive? You have, say, a grid, and then now you're shrinking the grid, right? So you want that when you shrink the page, the grid should also shrink. So what would you do? You would take the height and width of the screen and then make that height and width of the screen equal to the height and width of your grid, right? So when your screen is shrinking, the height and width of that grid is also shrinking. Similar things you can even apply in this as well. So for example, I'll show you one quick thing. Well, I cannot show you here. Probably I can. Let's say my label is this big, okay? And then I'm going to type something big in the label. Okay. So now let's keep overflow scroll auto height. Okay, so now you see how you have this title, right? What we will do is we'll say height of or width of the gallery will be dependent on the screen. When I say screen, that means it is app dot design width or width. Okay, so now my width is equal to the width of the gallery. Then in the title, so title width is again gallery 1 dot width. See, it went up till here. So it went till here, right? The reason why it went above, it went beyond the gallery is because there's a padding over here, right? There's a padding over here. So that's why the width went little beyond the control. Yeah. So now let's do this. Oh. Apply. Oh, it's not. Let's change the orientation. Now see how the gallery did not go beyond the control. It stayed as is. If we wouldn't have done that width setting, then what would have happened? It would have stayed. It would have shown something like, because it was hard coded as the width was hard coded as, right? So it would have gone beyond the screen. The gallery control would have gone beyond the screen, and then you wouldn't be able to see the half text here and here, right? Now we are making sure that it is responsive to the screen size. So even if you're changing the screen size, it would still be responsive. So let's go back to the default. We are gonna cover more about how to make things responsive in the grid. So let's go back here, title. So Suga, I'm gonna mute you for a while because I think there's a background noise coming from your end.
Mike.
Okay, we have this title over here, and then let's add few more titles. I'm just gonna copy this title and paste it. Okay, paste it 3 more times. So now when you're aligning, you can see that you have some guidance. So when you see there's a horizontal line and a vertical line guiding you for the placement. So that's your grids. So you can take help of those. Auto height on. All right. So there you go. Now what I'm going to do is every title would represent some text, right? So this first thing would have full name. So this item dot full name. I didn't assign data source. Text this item dot, because the full name is extending beyond it. Let's increase a bit. And here we would have address.
Hey Danish, can we make that dynamic rather than static? The size of the text.
We can, yes. Yeah, that's what I was explaining. You can make a lot of things dynamic as well. So how to make dynamic, how to make responsive, we are going to cover in next sections, because those are like a lot of formulas we have to use to make that happen. But I just showed you like the thing I did with gallery control, where I used the apps width on the gallery width and then the label width as the gallery width. So you can use other, even you can use screens width and height on controls. You can use controls width and height on sub controls and things like that to make it more responsive. This item dot number, um, telephone number. Oops. What is it called? In telephone. Let's keep it as phone. Okay. And then this would be email address. So we'll get rid of this and we'll just keep email address. Okay. Okay, so you have a lot of stuff built into this. Now, one thing I want to do is I want to reduce the template size. So this is the template size that I was talking about. So let's go and reduce this. There's two ways of reducing the template size. So either you can click on this gallery edit icon and then you can reduce it from here itself. Right? And you can even make this dynamic template size. So template size has some limitations into how you can make it dynamic. It the template size would still apply to all. So overall 39 or overall whatever you put the formula, it would apply to all. So you cannot have one with size 40 and the other one with size 50. You cannot have that. So everyone would have the same constant size. So that's the only limitation. So because it says template size. So here we are going to keep it as 40. So now it looks good. Now, idea is if you click this button, then we should open up a form which gives more details about that contact, right? And then we also need some header. So we are going to go to gallery and then apply some border to the gallery. Okay. So this is the border. Now we are gonna create a heading. So how to create a heading? The nice way to create a heading is to use components, which we are gonna. I believe we are gonna look at components in, yeah, we are gonna look at components on 12.5. So I'm not gonna use components for today. So other way to use component or to create headers and use of rectangles is a lot. Like even if you want to create a line, you have to use rectangles in Canvas apps. So how to make a line? So I want to make a line in between my heading and in between my gallery control. So how do I make a line? So I will arrange my rectangle over here till the end, and then I'll go to rectangles size property, and then I'll say height would be 1. That becomes my line. If I want my height or my line to be a little thicker, I can make it 2. I can change the color. Let's make red so it stands out. So there you go. That's my line. Using so let's remove the border again from here so it looks good. So again, I'm making a line using a rectangle. Okay. Then I'll be making a header again using a rectangle. So I'll be going to use a rectangle, lot of rectangles, and until here. Okay.
You cannot use title as header.
What do you mean title as header?
You use this title control to populate rows, right? You cannot use the same to populate header.
So this is a label.
Yeah, right. That label, we cannot use it as header.
We can use it as header. I'm just giving some color shading. So I'm gonna give this as like some color, and then on top of that I'm gonna put a label, and then I'm so see where I'm going with this. So I've put a
Okay.
yeah, I'm creating, like, in CRM you have header on the top, which is of a different color than the rest of the thing, right? So that's where I'm going with.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have this. Let's take lighter shade. Okay. And now you don't see the rectangles. You don't see the line because the rectangle 2 is on top of rectangle 1. That means it's on top of the line that we created. So let's bring that on top and have some width between them. So see here, I'm not able to actually have that spacing in between the line, and it just snaps to that, right? So the easiest way is to have it handled through the height and width. So there you go. Yeah. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a data source called I'm going to add a connector for Office user, Office 365 user, and then connect. Office 365 user connector gives you the connection to your own user account as well as to any user account. Okay, so you can pull the user image, the email address, first name, last name, user login information, and some other stuff, only if you are an admin. So now I've have this connector. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert an image. Now here's a cool thing. I want to make this image as a circular image, not a square. How can I do that? Anyone knows how to do that? No? Okay. So how do you, that's why we need to go through these properties. There are like tons of properties that we might not even know. So on this, to make this as circle, there's something called as radius top left, radius top right, and radius bottom left, bottom right. Now you can write values in this and then try to come up with a circle. But the easiest way to come up with a circle is you take the image. So here the image name is image2. So you take that image2 and then say dot height. Okay, see, you get a curve over here because this is getting the radius, right? So you'd copy this, put it in the bottom left, do the same thing on all the 4. And there you go. You get an image. Now, this is where Srini, you were asking me if we can make certain things dynamic. This is what I have made it dynamic. What I've told is the radius of all this top left, right, top bottom left and bottom right would correspond to the height of the image. So if I have to change the height, it changes, right? Now I have to make sure my height and width also stay constant. To make that happen, I have to go to the width. And now I can't find width. So the easiest way to find the width is go here, go to width, and then say, okay, now my width will also be image2 dot height. Now, doesn't matter how I rotate it, it will always stay the same. Okay. To make this as over here, and I want to show the logged in users icon on this. Yeah. So to show that, I'm going to go to image. Here it is showing sample image. Now I'm going to use this connector that we added, Office 365 user, and there you go. It just shows us the type ahead to use user photo version 2. Now what does it need? It needs an ID, and the ID means it needs user principal name, which is the domain name or the username, or email ID, either of them. Now how do you get email ID or a user principal name dynamically? By the logged in user. So to access the logged in users information, you have to use user, which is a function, dot, and then you can either get the email, full name. Now image, why it does give us image, but this image is coming from your Delve account, and sometimes user settings are not done in the Office 365 AD. The images are not loaded in Office 365 AD. So the easiest way to get the image is by using Office 365 users and then getting the photo, because those photos are actually retrieved from Office 365 all location wherever you see those photos. So just say email, and it should come up with that. So you see the logged in users image. Let me make a little small. There you go. Looks good. And then now we are going to give the title as per Minal's request. This title. This title we can make a little bigger. So to make the title bigger, we can do teen, make it semi-bold. So now there's a font weight. So font weight we have bold, semi-bold, lighter, normal. So we'll make it semi-bolder. Which looks good. Change the text. Okay, looks good. Now I feel like we should also give header to this. Yeah, but we'll come back to that later. This icons over here seems to be too big. So let's make them a little smaller. So now see, I cannot actually edit this. You have to edit the first item only. It will only give you access to the first item. It won't let you select any other item. So when you select the gallery, edit the gallery, you have to select the first row item only. Yeah. Too big. There you go. Now, once you select this icon, I want to navigate to a second screen. So let's create a second screen. And this second screen, now it's easy. We all have all this information. So we'll use all these things that we have created, copy it with Control C, or you can right click it to copy it. Come here, right click it again to paste it. Just move it to the top. So all the information is intact. And then here we would add few labels. So what Suga had done in his app, he has created controls and he has not used forms or data tables. So we are trying to do the same thing over here. Okay, so this would have full name, phone number, email address, and then address. So address would be composite address. And because it is going to be composite address, we're going to increase the size and we're going to make it vertical align as top. Okay, and then we're going to change these labels to have a border with the color gray. Yeah, let's have some padding in between them or space in between them. It doesn't look good like this.
And then you set the source for each one by one.
Yeah,
That
because
is-
we're not using forms. If you're setting
Okay.
forms, then it just populates it by itself.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So now your text here becomes. So now how do you get the selected item from the gallery? You have to get the selected item from the gallery and only show the selected items information, right? So there's something called on gallery, something called as gallery.selected item, right? Selected dot, and then you get all the data of contact. So contact full name. Now everything will show blank because nothing is selected, right? So gallery one dot selected dot phone number. I used what? Telephone one is. I think there was telephone one. I don't know what's it called. This phone, business phone. Let's keep business phone. And then email address. Gallery one dot selected. And then address. So the good thing about this Canvas app is it gives us access. It gives us access to the composite fields. So address composite field is what you can access here. Okay, so now we have all this. Now going back
So
to
if it is a so can you run till this? Can you just run till this? Because if it's a composite field, it would just need one line and then expand it into showing address line one, line two, something like that, right?
You can do, you can either show composite address or you can show line 1, line 2, line 3, whatever you want separately.
No, okay. Maybe I'm getting confused with composite. Can you run this?
Yeah.
What will happen?
Now nothing will happen. So because see,
So
if you
okay.
click, nothing will happen because we have
Oh,
not
you
written
had to
the
write
code.
it. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I was going.
Second form, if you run the screen too.
Yeah. Screen 2, if I run, nothing will come up, or maybe the first record comes up.
So by composite field, what do you mean? Like it will show all the address, everything in a
Yes.
screen.
Yeah. So in CRM, you have a composite address, like all the addresses are stored in one composite address, which is a read-only field, read-only attribute. There's an attribute in CRM, but it is read-only, and you're not able to access it on the form. You cannot edit on the form.
Okay. Okay. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a composite address field available in CRM. That's what is we can access over here. So going back to next arrow. So next arrow is nothing but this particular icon. And then on select of this, we're going to write a code. So the code is that we need to do select parent, but we also need to navigate to the next screen. So to navigate to the next screen, I like to expand this code area and then navigate to the next screen. Now you can write multi-line statements in the code. To write multi-line statements, you have to use semicolon to separate those lines. And then because we are developers, right? Everyone is developer here. Because we're developers, we want our code to be in next line as we write. So that's what I like, and I like little space. So you can expand this area and then you can start writing your code. So to go to the next line, you have to hold shift and then press enter. Okay. It's very important. If you press enter, you're going to exit out of it. So you have to hold shift and then press enter and then write code. So I have to navigate from this screen 1, I have to navigate to screen 2. So to use that, I'm going to write navigate and then screen 2. And then it also has some options. So it has screen transition, cover left, cover right. These are really nice. Let's use cover for now. I'll show you how it looks like. And that's it. So now let's run this. And let's select this record. And there you go. And this is your composite field, Sudhakar. See how you got your first line 1, city, state, zip, and your country, everything in one field.
Yeah. Maybe I'm getting confused with the other type of field where it will be in a single text. It'll look like a text box. When you click on it, after that, it'll show like a pop-up with address line 1.
Yeah, so that's only in CRM, and that's again a composite address field populated, but it expands into 4 different fields, 4 different separate fields, like first name, last name, how used to happen
Exactly. Yeah.
back in
Yeah.
the days.
Yeah.
So that is that was in like the legacy client. They used to have that pop out and then have different fields, but the data used to get into one single field. But yeah, we can do that kind of stuff in Canvas app as well, but it would be little more design involved in it.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So within half an hour, I was able to create a nice looking app. How about that?
Yeah.
Now there's a thing. See, now when let me run the screen 2 again. So these are the minute things that you need to consider. See, you're still getting that selected gallery. So how do I reset it? How do I reset my form? Right. So when you want to reset your form, I normally write my code on app on start. Okay. So on app on start, I can do reset and I can set my control. Okay. It could be my gallery control. And then I also want to reset my labels. So all my label, what is it? See, this is what happens when you don't use naming conventions. label 3. Did I send you the naming conventions by any means?
No, I don't think so.
I sent it in the last mail. You should check that.
Ah,
Yeah, I'll send it again.
No,
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 I
no, I
don't
think-
think so.
No? Okay, I'll send it again. I thought I sent it with the anyway, yeah,
with
I'll
the
send it again.
calendar maybe. With the calendar maybe.
Yeah, no, I'll send it again. I'll send
It's that use case email.
yeah, in the
Oh
use
yeah.
case
Okay.
email.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, right. So I think so only Suga read that email.
Yeah, I saw
Uh,
the use case. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Now I remember. Yes.
so
Actually, I was trying the same whatever you are doing, right? I tried
yeah.
already. Same thing I tried.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah,
Probably we'll end up this call. We'll check that what I have tried.
yeah. Okay. So now I have written anything on the on start, but on start does not gets invoked. Even if I play this start button, the on start does not get invoked. So how to make that on start get invoked is you have to click on this ellipsis and then click on run on start. When you click on run on start, only then it runs the on start function. Okay. Well, the gallery reset is not unselecting this, but that's fine. Any questions? What is this? No questions?
So on start is your like on load. So similarly, like you have on change everything like that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So now let's look at variables. So there are two types of variables in Power Apps. One is called global variable and the other one is called local variable. Global variable are accessible throughout the screens. So if you have declared anything, it is accessible throughout the application. But local variables are only accessible on on that particular screen. So if you have defined anything on a screen as a local variable, then it won't be access on screen 1. It is defined. It won't be accessible on screen 2. Okay. So how do you? Yeah.
One question.
Mm-hmm.
In that app start, we said we did reset to gallery, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Suppose we refresh that collections contact, right? Whatever that contact table, if we refresh uh,
Mm-hmm.
instead of resetting that gallery, will it work similar way? Or
Yeah, it will work. Yes.
because gallery we are just displaying whatever the data, right?
Right. Yes.
If
So
you
if
just refresh that collections, that should be a sufficient, right?
so when you say refresh, refresh is has a different meaning. Reset has a different meaning. So when you say refresh,
Hmm.
refresh does a data set refresh.
Data set refresh. What will
Yeah.
happen? What I'm
So
saying, if we refresh this one on load of gallery control, it should fetch latest collection, right?
yes, it will fetch latest collection, but the gallery won't be impacted with that. Let's see. I cleared it out later on. It took some time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this is only to fetch the new data.
Mm-hmm.
It won't impact any of the controls. To reset any of the controls, you still have to use reset. Okay. Yeah. So did you get the part of two variables, right? So the two variables. So how to set those variables? Now, whenever I'm declaring a global variable, uh, I normally recommend people to declare them on one single position. That would be your app on start. Okay, so any global variable that you have, you will be declaring it on app on start and then using it throughout the application. If you have any local variables, then you will be declaring it on the on screen visible. Okay, on screen visible. So like, on load, you declare all your global variables and then you use it throughout the app. If it's in the function, then as soon as the function loads, you declare all your variables in one spot and then you write the code. Similar thought process, I'm putting it in creating the canvas app as well, but feel free, you can define it anywhere you want. It's not hard and fast rule. So to declare global variable, you have to use set. Okay, I'm gonna do this set, and then you define your variable name, which could be, this is, I'll be using naming convention. Global variable is global variable or GL variable. I don't remember exactly. This is global variable. Okay, and then here I can give whatever value I want. Sugar, there's a background noise. I'm gonna put you on mute. Okay.
Sorry.
So you set the variable over here on load, right? Now I want to show it on screen 1. Let's put it somewhere. And then the value of this would be just the global variable. GL here, global variable. Okay. Now if I run app on start, it's running, and there you go. This is on load, right? So now the value for the variable got reset. Now on load got reset, but what I want to do is on screen I want to set the variable again. So to set the variable again, or to change the variable's value, I still have to use set. Now this time I can use the same variable. So GL global variable, and then this is screen 1. Okay, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to do the same thing on screen 2. And then I'm going to say this is screen 2. Oh, no, not set. Sorry, that's why. GLVAR. This will only show the variable. On screen 2 on visible, I'm going to change. I'm going to set to screen 2. Okay. Now you don't see that it has been applied because the screen 2 will only execute when I actually run the app. Okay. So it is still going to show this is on load. Let's say on load. Okay. So now this is on load and then it's setting on the screen. Right. So let's go and test. Oh, there you go. Why didn't it change? Screen 2. Oh, I don't have the back button. I should have a back button. Let's put a back button here. So how to put a back button? And on this on select, I will just say back. Okay, it's again a function, some transition. Screen 1. So this is screen 1, and from screen 1 to screen 2, and then from back, I can go to back. See, and then you see the animation, how it just slides in and then slides out. Okay.
A quick, simple question. Can we highlight selected row? Is there any kind of CSS?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yes. There's no CSS, but there's a trick to it. Okay.
Oh,
So
on select. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
yeah, I'll
Thanks.
show you the trick. So what you do is, for that, again, you go to the gallery edit mode. Again, I love rectangles, and everyone would be using the rectangles a lot in Canvas app. So use a rectangle and add a rectangle inside the gallery app, and then make the rectangles height and width equal to the gallery. Okay, and then move this down, send to back. Okay, so you got the highlighting. Now highlighting color. So whatever color you want, let's put a light blue color. Yeah. Now to show this rectangle, you have to use something called as visible. Okay, so now here visible would only show if sorry, this item dot selected is selected. There you go. So now you're only showing selected item or selected row. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Simple.
there like
Yeah.
Is there like a list or a library of all the functions here that's used Power Apps?
Yeah, so for that you have to go on Microsoft Document, and Microsoft Document is not that good as we have seen for CRM as well. So similar thing, it's you have to do a lot of googling and then identify what
Yeah.
functions are available and what functions are not. But I'll share a list of one of the person has consolidated a list of nice queries that we normally use for Power Apps. So I'll share that. I'll share content as a consolidated content where you can go and check things out very quickly.
Sure.
That
Yeah,
will
no,
be great.
yeah, and you think like most of the Excel things are also supported here, right? That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Excel
So
functions.
yeah, Excel. So it's kind of an Excel function, but like you can do more than an Excel function.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So screen one, screen two. So now we looked at global variables, but we did not look at local variables. So how do you define local variable is you define local variables, you can define it wherever you want. So I'm going to define it on screen on visible. For defining local variables, you have to use update context. And to define the update context, you have to define it like an object. Okay, so you have to use your curly braces, and then inside the curly braces you would first define your variable name. So local variable test, and then here you would use colon and then your value. This is local, and then close curly, close this, and then there you go, you defined your local variable over here. Now once I define my local variable, I'm going to go back to this label and then say, now I have to append my global variable with my local variable. To do that, you don't have to use plus sign, but to do any concatenation, you have to use ampersand and local variable. Okay, local variable does not show up here yet. Let's see why it doesn't show up. Yeah, it didn't get triggered. I need to put some space in between as well. So let's put some space. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so this becomes my local variable. This is my global variable. Yeah. So update, whenever you're using update context, you're setting a local variable. When you're using a set, you're using a global variable. Now set will only take one variable value at a time, but local variable, you can actually have multiple local variables. So you can have local variable 2 and same thing because it's an object, right? So how you define an object? And then I really like to use the format text because I like my things formatted. And then now once I define my variable 2, I can go and use it over here. Local variable 2. There you go. Okay, questions? Any
Uh,
other scenarios that you want to try out?
on selected, can we set selected ID or something? Means
Uh,
on click of arrow, set the value of any field or local variable
yeah, you can.
or
So
globe.
yeah, it's kind of a function. So think that as a function. So on this click, you can write as many line of code as you want. I've written more than 100 lines of code on one button click.
Okay,
So
okay, okay.
yeah, so it's you can do a lot of complex logic in here. Uh, it's just that you're not writing actual code, so you have to think little outside of the box
Yep.
of how you
Okay.
do how you do things, but but the things that we'll try to do in code, you're still able to do certain things in here as well. You know, like loops, you can do for loops, you can do while, you can do a lot of stuff, coding stuff. It's just that it's not regular coding. You cannot do JavaScript, you cannot do CSS, all those kind of stuff. There are certain limitations to it, but because you see, to make this design, to make this interface, it would have taken me at least few days using either Windows Form or even using web. It would have taken me a few days. I was able to demonstrate this in under an hour. So that's the power of using Canvas apps. It's pretty quick.
Okay. Canvas apps are web based, right?
Yes,
Uh,
Canvas apps are
uh,
web based.
or can we deploy them as an app
The,
in and like on mobile or tablet, or they have to be viewed in the browser only?
no, so they are available on the phone, but because Power App is kind of a sandbox. It's a sandbox environment, like how plugins are, right? Plugins are sandbox. You cannot actually access the system components in the plugins. So whatever access you have are only through the system namespace. But other than system namespace, you don't get access to anything else. You cannot access directory and all the stuff. It's sandboxed, right? So Power Apps is also sandboxed. So it does run as a web app, but it also run as a mobile app as well. That's why you're getting that mobile template too. To run the mobile app, there's a Power App application in the App Store. So try to download that. And any application or any app you create using Canvas app, that app is available on your phone as well. So you have
Okay.
to download that Power App, go in that Power App, sign in. Once you sign in, then you will see all your apps available to you, and then you can choose whatever app you want.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Danish, I had a question.
Yeah.
With whatever application we are developing here, we
Mhm.
can share it with users, right?
Yeah. So sharing, yes.
Yeah.
Good that you brought that up. I was gonna cover it in the next sessions, but I'll cover it right now.
Yeah.
So
So like, if we share it, how
Mhm.
does the user access it? Like, is in an extension question to what Vikram was asking, will it appear like an app or or he has to go down to the app on the CRM? Like in Power Apps, powerapps.com, you have CRM, right? In you have something called apps. So whatever apps we develop, we can see it over there. So my question was like, how does the user we share with see it?
Yeah, and one more thing, that
In
unified
interface.
interface, is that app, Canvas app or something like that?
so unified interface is a model driven app. So have you seen the new design that Microsoft came up with? So in the
Not
bottom
it.
layer, So in the bottom layer, you have Azure. Okay, everything is running on Azure. Even your CRM is running on Azure. Why I'm saying that is because in the bottom you have Azure. On top of Azure is your CDS. CDS is a platform. So it was XRM before. Now they have made it as CDS because not only CRM but Power Platform is also using it. So on top of CDS, you have Dynamics 365 applications, which are sales, marketing, um, uh, field services, project services, all those applications that Microsoft provide. On the same level, next to it is your model driven app. And then next to it on the same level is the Canvas app. And then again next to it on the same level is your Power Automate, which contains Flow and UI. And then again next to it is Power Virtual Agent. So everything is running on Power Platform. Everything
Okay,
is on
got
one level.
okay.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And coming back to Srini's question. So see here, you once you save it, right? These the app that you are creating will only be owned by you and no one else. Now, once you create that app, save it, you can share it. Now, once you go to share, and once it loads, come on, yeah. Now you can enter the name of the user and you can only share it with your organizations as of today. So you can write anyone's name. So I can write Sudhakar, and then Sudhakar's name would come up. I can share it with Sudhakar. I can make him co-owner. So if I make him co-owner, then he'll have rights to edit it. Okay. Now, because we're using CDS connector, any CDS connector entities that we have used, you can actually assign a role. So you can make it role based while sharing it itself. Okay. Even if you don't do role based, the data that they would see will be based on their own role. But if you want to add any additional role or add any additional security, then you can do it through this. Now, if you want to share it with entire organization, then entire organization will have a group created. Every organization will have one single group created for the entire organization. That's how Office 365 works. But the group name will be different for every organization. So you have to ask your IT admin, what is the organization, what is the name of the group for the entire organization. So in our AKA, I think so it is called AKA, or maybe all users, something like that. All AKA, maybe AKA, or all users, something like that. I forgot what it is.
So it's a CRM group or an Active Directory group?
It's no, everything. This is all coming from Office 365. So it is a Office 365 group.
Okay. And Danish, like, can you see how Sudhakar can access this app?
Yeah. So let's share it with Sudhakar. Now Sudhakar will get a invitation email as well. Sudhakar, you wanna share your screen and then show?
Yeah. So you want to go to my email. Oh, so I got an email.
Yeah, and then you can just click on that open app. And then you can actually share this URL as well. Yeah, say click on allow. So this is one time you have to give permission. And now you see how Sudhakar's photo came over there instead of my photo, because that's all dynamically pulled. And now Sudhakar does not have access to that instance that I have access to. So he's not able to see any data whatsoever. So that's again, your security has been maintained, and this is how it would look for Sudhakar.
So, like, Danish, here, like, let's assume that we generally are creating an app for the salesperson who is using a tab.
Mhm.
So we are just creating an app so that he can fill in some information and pull in some records. So I just wanted to see, like, yeah, here Sudhakar was able to access the email. So he may not have access to the email. I just wanted to see, is there any other way to access this particular app which we shared,
Yeah. So
apart from the email?
as I said, so if any user is using tablet or mobile phone, so in Google Play Store or in Apple App Store, you have to go and search for Power Apps. Once you go and search for Power Apps, then you will see the app called Contact Information App in there itself.
So it is outside the CRM. You will access all this information outside the CRM.
Yes, yes. This is nothing. This is outside CRM. Canvas app is outside of CRM.
And it's the same data which we are actually using a Canvas app, whatever we are creating, using CDS, we can have that data inserted into CRM, right?
Right. Yes. You can do.
Mhm.
You can pull the data. You can push the data in CRM. Now, pushing the data in CRM, we are actually going to look in future sessions, because that is through Flow that I really recommend pushing the data into CRM.
Yep.
So here, like in CRM, we have something like views. What are they called? We cannot directly access the data of the CRM, but we have access to those views, right? What do we? I don't remember the name.
Filtered views.
Filtered views. Is there anything of that kind here, or like?
So
what-
in the earlier demos, let me still the share back. In the last demo, I did show you that we get the access for the views. So if I go back to the app, and if I go to the gallery control, because I'm using the data source as my CDS, I get the access to the views. And these views are coming from CRM.
I think he was asking more like the filtered views. Remember, we used to use for SSRS reports and all.
Yeah, yeah.
That-
Why do you want to use filtered views?
No,
Because
I'm asking. See, filtered views have the security row and all that. So is it the same concept we are using over here to
yes,
display?
same. Yes, that's why Sudhakar was not able to see that much data, because Sudhakar does not have access to those data.
Okay.
Yeah. So the security role, whatever user is logging in, he is logging in as himself, and if he has rights, say I'm able to see as a system admin, I'm able to see 100 records. If say Sudhakar logs in and Sudhakar is a regular user and he can only see say 5 records, then he will only see 5 records from Canvas app as well.
One quick question, Danish. You just showed me that view where you selected, you can select the view. Can we put a drop down on this canvas screen and bind all those with
I wish. So this was one of the 2 or 3 clients have asked the same request. You can show views, but what you have to do is you have to do a lot of things, like you have to have a drop down and then have these values hard coded, and then based on the value selected from the drop down, you populate the views over here dynamically. So instead of this, you can actually change these items to the selected view. There's a lot of other things that you have to do. It's not straightforward. So the answer
yeah.
is yeah. The direct answer is no. The indirect answer is yes, but with 100 steps.
Okay. I got it. I just needed an idea that
Yeah.
can we, did you try it or not?
Yeah,
Okay.
we
Thanks.
tried it, but then we said that okay, we don't want to do this, so we didn't go that route.
Can we query that table called something
String map.
string, not string map, where all the views are definition of
No,
views
so
are
you cannot.
stored.
Yeah, you cannot do any metadata calls.
Oh yeah, metadata calls. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you cannot do any metadata calls.
Okay. So we will have to hard code that those views there.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, and Danish, like this may be out of context or like maybe far out of this, but today I like, can we use any web services, anything of this kind here?
Yes, we can.
API?
I think so. We have. I don't have it. Or maybe in connectors. We'll look that into connectors. I'll show you how to create a custom connector.
So
And
like
then
just for discussion, maybe we can discuss this later, but I just wanted to give a scenario. I came across like wherein the user said that there's a web service which we have to consume. You give the, like, let's assume it's a VIN number. You give the VIN number of the car, and the web service returns all the car details. So the user wants, like, as you displayed here, the records would be displayed, and the user had a peculiar thing, like if you click on one of the records, what's happening here in our app is like it's showing the record data on the second page.
Mm-hmm.
So the user wanted that data to be created in CRM. I mean to say a record created in CRM. When you click this particular, you can say that arrow. Is that possible, or is there can we do it in Power Apps, or is there like
So the records are shown from somewhere else, and then you want to create that record in CRM. Am
yes,
I
like
getting that right?
yes,
Yeah,
there is a web service which is hosting. We have to
Yeah.
consume that web service and display all the records in there. Like if it's giving us 2 records or 3 records, if you click on one record, that record would be created in CRM. That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
way.
Absolutely. Yes, you can do that
Yeah, is in Power Apps or like
in Power Apps, but you have to use a custom connector, which we are going to cover in the next sessions. How
okay.
to create custom connectors, and then how to use custom connectors in Power Apps, and then stuff like that. So connectors and flow is in the same topic. So we'll probably cover the same scenario that you are talking about.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. And then go through the agenda before you join, so that I've already posted the agenda on the meeting, so you know what we are going to cover for that day. But if you want more details about the agenda, just let me know, and I can share what exactly are we going to cover. Okay. Any questions? We are actually more 12 minutes over time. But if
no questions so far. It's pretty
okay.
much clear now.
Yep.
Done from my side too.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, do you guys need any use case scenario, use cases, or have you worked on the use case that I've already provided?
Uh,
I have not worked on
yeah,
that.
same.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have
I'll try to work
to.
on it. Then maybe we can go with the next use case
Yeah.
scenario. And Danish, like,
Yeah.
how do we get the link of this call? Like, I see that you're recording.
Yeah,
So
I'll download the recording and I'll post it on a private channel somewhere. I'll have to figure it out.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
Right, guys.
Danish, I think Suga was showing you earlier his app. So
Yeah, I'll connect with him later on. I don't want to record that session.
all right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Danish.
you. Bye. Good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
Thanks. Bye. Good night.
Suga, I'll give you a call.
Sure. Okay.